at some memorable acceptance speeches.
We stand today on the edge of a new frontier, the frontier of the 1960s.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
I end tonight where it all began for me. I still believe in a place called hope.
Let's bring in our panel, the Washington Examiner's chief congressional correspondent, Susan Ferrechio. I think I got it right this time. Meghan McCain, an MSNBC contributor and columnist for The Daily Beast. MSNBC contributor, fixed man, Chris Cillizza, managing editor of postpolitics.com. And, of course, my colleague, NBC's Ron Mott, who is our man on the trail of Mr. Paul Ryan. Mr. Mott, welcome. All right, sir. Chris, I want to start with you.
Okay.
We heard in those acceptance speeches sort of three examples of what could be an acceptance speech. Looking ahead, optimism, biography, partisanship. What's going to be the pieces of the three-part recipe tonight?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that the least piece of that mix will be partisanship, would be my guess. It's solely, I think, in many ways, because Mitt Romney is not sort of a red meat conservative. It's why we've talked many times about it. It's somewhat remarkable that he got to this point in this race. I think it will be relatively heavily on biography, and I think one thing that's interesting about that is this is not someone in Mitt Romney who has ever been comfortable talking about himself. And the idea that Mitt Romney could do the "I still remember a place called hope," it's hard to imagine him making that, but I do think he has to find a way to tell his story. I think his wife did it well. The turned over sawhorse as their desk, the eating tuna fish. Can he in some way humanize himself in a way that he struggled to do so far?
It's interesting, Susan, to see that when Bill Clinton was at that moment in time, he needed a good convention and needed a good acceptance speech, and it worked. These things can turn things around. They can help a lot.
But you can only go so far with Mitt Romney. We all know his personality. And like you were saying, Chris,
but do we? No, you say that. I mean, I guess that's the question.
I think we do. It's been, how long has he been running for president for? He was governor of Massachusetts. He's been in the public eye for years. I'm not thinking that we're going to get much more biography tonight than we already have. I know that's kind of a risky opinion to have right now, but I think Paul Ryan did a lot with biography for Mitt Romney last night when he talked about his religion and his readiness for being the president. I think we'll see like a tribute video to Romney that will get more of that, but he's not good at talking about himself. Even when he's one-on-one with the press and there's no cameras around. I think there is going to be partisan attacks tonight, and it's going to be about his vision moving forward more than biography.
Meghan, your father was somebody that didn't like talking about himself, and it was always one of those, he was getting a lot of advice going up to his acceptance speech about doing those things.
Is that not talking about himself?
Well, it's saying doing more in that acceptance speech to weave a narrative about himself.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think tonight I think he's going to be more about policy and about red meat and conservatism and about what we're going to do and separating ourselves from the Obama administration, much like Paul Ryan did last night. I don't see this being a super autobiographical, this is why I'm Mormon speech.
Interesting.
My opinion.
Paul Ryan last night was a very red meat. How much of that was new to you and what he said?
Not a whole lot. I mean,
a lot of that is in his stuff.
A lot of what we heard last night is in the standard speech, and we were talking about how he came out and tried to soak up the energy in the crowd. He was a little nervous, it seemed, at first. His body language, to me, was fine, and it took him a few minutes to kind of get into the rhythm of the speech, and then once he got into it, I mean, he had that crowd, and that was electric for him. Back to Governor Romney, a lot of folks were saying he needs to stay within the bounds of the field for himself. Don't try to recreate yourself in a big moment like tonight.
Like Chris Christie tried.
Too much so.
Coming out like a statesman instead of coming out like the Jersey boy.
Although not that many statesmen come out with the.
It was very Jersey. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more on this, more on the acceptance speech, more on Michelle Obama was on David.
I, as the wife of the guy they're running against, I tend not to watch it, but I think it's important for everyone to watch these conventions.
Michelle Obama telling other people to watch the Republican convention, but her saying last night in Letterman she wasn't watching it herself. Let's bring back the panel. Susan Ferrechio, Meghan McCain, Ron Mott, Chris Cillizza. Meghan, apparently you were lip syncing. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. We had a little tight live television. We got the cruise ship in the background.
There's over there.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
Wait, don't get us in trouble there. go back to, I asked you, what do you expect to hear out of this acceptance speech?
I was saying I expected Mitt Romney to do a pretty much policy speech. I think he will do somewhat of his narrative and his biography, but I don't think he's going to concentrate on it
because you think he's already well known? There's just not much more to add?
I don't think he's comfortable speaking about himself. I think we've seen that in the past, and I think, honestly, Paul Ryan did a great job of it last night, explaining. I love the connection between his Mormon faith, which we haven't really heard them talk about, and Paul Ryan talking about his own faith and how, at the end of the day, morality and, praying to the same thing is all that really matters.
It was religiosity, as David Gregory put it, versus theology.
Right.
Having that. Susan, swing voters, did Paul Ryan talk to any of them last night?
Yes, he did.
Tell me.
Well, he talked about the middle class, helping the middle class. He talked about helping, he talked about his mom, women swing voters could help swing this election. Sure. And he talked about his mom going back to school, getting on a bus every day and going 40 miles, starting her own career after his father died. And he talked about, join us at the end of the speech. Join our team. No matter who you're thinking about in this election, let's put aside partisanship and join our team, and let's get this economy going together.
All right. Did you hear swing voters targeted last night?
I don't disagree with what Susan said in terms of messaging. I would say I think that speech was more for the crowd in the room, because I think he did focus on kind of why Paul Ryan was the pick. I think it's a gamble on swing voters in picking Ryan, but it's a gamble broadly on picking Ryan, which was made clear last night, which is, do you believe that people say they want to hear hard truths and they're ready to sort of swallow hard and make hard decisions? Are they really or not? We're going to find out.
Ron, how did the Ryan campaign handle the pretty rough pushback this morning from the Obama campaign?
So far, I think they are letting it soak in, and I think they expected it. The Obama campaign came out right this morning, and essentially line by line going through the speech saying that's not true, that's false, that's a lie, and so I think they anticipated some of that. Right. And the devil's always in the details. So from the next 9.5 weeks, it's going to be getting into those details.
Shameless plug, Susan. I'll start with you.
Washington Examiner. We've got a great team coverage here at the convention. We're also going to be in Charlotte.
I am a guy named Con Carroll. Every once in a while, he's okay. He's just okay.
He's excellent. He's excellent. He's here too.
All right, Megan, what do you got?
The Daily Beast.
That's it.
My
That's
home.
your plug.
That's all I got. Go to the Daily Beast.
Not your book. How about that? Chris.
I'm waiting for my Chris Cillizza button.
Oh, wow. You know what? There's a guy making them. We'll see.
My mom probably could make one if she did apparatus. She got a lot of good pictures of me when I was a kid.
Baseball cards. Mine are comments.
I looked around.
Yours have value.
I went out to the button station.
I'm gonna plug the Chuck Todd button because you can actually get them in Tampa. You can't find the Ron Mott buttons. Those
again.
Ours are somewhere. I don't know.
It'll be worth more. Anyway, thank you all. That's it for this edition of the Daily Rundown. We'll, of course, be right back here tomorrow. Another packed show right here before we go to Charlotte.